And we're on the telephone with Miranda Viscoli. Miranda, you and your organization just had another successful, I guess, what do we call this? A gun surrender? What do we call it?
Oh, we can call it a gun surrender, but people have a problem with that. And you can call it a gun buyback, and people still have a problem with that. But I just call it a gun buyback because it's easy to say. So we can't win on what we call it.
I have seen that to be very true. So the Mexicans Against Gun Violence. Tell me what happened at your last event. That was in Albuquerque, right?
Yeah, so we had it was our 23rd Guns to Garden buyback event. To date, we've taken in over 4,000 firearms. This last buyback, we took in 268, half of which were semi-automatics and assault-style weapons. 4 were machine guns, and 6 of them were stolen. It was extremely successful, but we had $35,000. We ran out of cash. I want to say about 2 hours into it. And so they would give me the fun job of running down the street telling people that we're out of cash, but they can still turn them in, which people would never want to hear. What was interesting was that 3/4 of the people didn't care. They just wanted to get the firearm out of their home. And we aren't anti-gun. You know that about us. I'm a gun owner, right? But there are certain times in people's lives where you shouldn't have a firearm, or they simply want to make sure that that gun does not get into unsafe hands. So this gives them an opportunity to get rid of that gun and not worry about it anymore. It's voluntary. They can go sell their gun legally if they want to. I don't have a problem with that. But some people just want to know that the gun will not end up in the hands of a teenager committing a school shooting.
And that is important to keep in mind. We just had all those guns found at the Albuquerque schools last week. And also, there's a new trend. I want to kind of get your say-so on it. It seems to be a new trend. We saw it last week at Villanova. We saw it yesterday, day before, at the University of Arkansas, where there are fake gun shootings being reported. This has got people on edge, and then they're running from nothing.
Yeah, no, it's sad. And also it's going to create a very dangerous environment where you think there's a shooting, or somebody has a gun and they start shooting thinking they're protecting people. It makes it very complicated for law enforcement. And I will say about there was one school in Albuquerque where the kid had pulled the slide on the gun and he was in the stall. And when the kid went into the classroom, told the teacher, and the officer, they have a police officer from APD on that campus, and he did everything right. He immediately had his gun pointed at that student because he knew the slide had been pulled, right? And that's a very dangerous situation. And then there were students who, were creating these horrible posters about this officer. That officer was doing his job. Like, really? And this officer had been in the school for 20 years, never pulled a gun, but he needed to do that. Like, he didn't know what was going on, and it was a very dangerous, fluid situation. Like, man, do we have to be so anti-law enforcement all the time, kids? Come on.
It isn't. Now, I guess the point that the kids are trying to make, that had to be an extremely, extremely scary and stressful situation for those kids to be in. Now, I'm not speaking ill of the officer. He did his job. I agree with you 100%. And I don't think there was another way of going about it. But still, that had to be scary.
He had to, right? So, when that slide's pulled, that wasn't a kid who was, there's so many guns in backpacks on schools, right? And they're keeping them to do their weed deal after school. But this was a situation where the slide was racked. This is that. You do that when you're going to shoot your gun. That officer did everything he was supposed to do and kept those kids safe. And yes, it was terrifying for the kids, but the guy wasn't doing a Uvalde move. He was going right into where that kid was.
And that is a sign of bravery in itself, because now the officer himself is a target. So I am glad that the situation was diffused, but it's still scary that we're getting all these weapons at schools. Like I said, the fake shootings. Although I am totally against the idea of the government being involved in collecting weapons, that is not at all what you're doing. Nowhere near.
No. The government's not. So we do our gun buybacks through police so that we can run them through NCIC. And by doing that, if there's a stolen gun, and we have 6, if they can find the rightful owner, it goes back to the rightful owner. If it's a crime gun, it goes into evidence to the state. We have never had one crime gun because no criminal could be that dumb, but maybe one day that will happen. And then we destroy them. So the government's not taking these firearms. It's like they're just making sure that the gun goes back to its rightful owner, and our volunteers walk it up to the chop saw and it gets dismantled, right? So that's all it is. But yeah, there'll be the rumor mill starts happening that we're giving guns to the government and blah, blah, blah. And why would we be doing buybacks to give guns back to the government?
Doesn't make sense to me, but, some people are very protective of their firearms, and that's where you come in as well. If you own a firearm, you're not the enemy, because you're not asking for them to bring it in. The only ones you want, as far as I understand, are the guns that are not wanted by the owners or the families.
Exactly. I could hardly care less. If you're a law-abiding citizen, hopefully that's had some gun safety courses and keeps your gun locked up. Good for you. I don't care if you have 40 guns. Who cares? But this is simply, we have a law in the books that makes it very difficult for law enforcement to take in firearms. And so I wish the naysayers out there would just think for a second about all the other different situations that can happen with a gun that shouldn't be in a home, right? So they're saying, go after the criminals. This isn't attacking crime. No, it's probably not, except that the guns that, people don't want or forget about, well, those are the most dangerous ones because they get stolen, right? So there's that. But the majority of these people are doing this because husband who always went hunting now has dementia and shouldn't be around firearms. Teenager has suicidal ideation. Grandparents are suddenly taking care of 3 kids that they didn't expect to be taken care of while their kids work, and they've got a closet full of guns. They want them out of the house. That's what this goes after, right? So no, does it go after criminals with firearms? No, but that's not all gun violence. The last gun buyback we did, the woman had suicidal ideation. We ran out of cash and she said, I don't want the cash. I need this gun out of my home. We've had people who have been given horrible medical diagnoses of cancer. Not a good time for me to have a gun. Please take this gun. That's all this program is. That's it.
And that is a pretty powerful thing when you think about it. These people are still alive because they were aware enough to know that it would have been a temptation or could have been a temptation in the near future. So
right. And they have no place to take it. I mean, they're hard to sell, right? So then and that also puts more energy on the firearm in the home. Like, I'm trying to sell it, but it's suicidal ideation. So let's just create the ability for people when they need to get that gun out of their home that is quick and easy. And it shouldn't be that that we only do these, 2 or 3 times a year in Albuquerque, and we try to hit Las Cruces and Santa Fe and northern New Mexico, but it's not enough.
What are the future plans for the remainder of 2025 for the New Mexicans Against Gun Violence?
To prevent gun violence. Our next one will be in Santa Fe in October. So we haven't done one in Santa Fe for probably 5 years. And the reason why we don't I would love to do a buyback in every county every weekend in New Mexico, but they cost an insane amount of money. So, we're a little nonprofit. We can't keep up. So this is, just a way that, we try to target areas that we think there'll be a need, and that's what we do.
And where does someone get some more information about you?
You can go to www.newmexicans2preventgunviolence.org.
All right, Miranda Viscoli, before I let you go, is there anything else you want to share with us?
Yeah, anybody who's listening, lock up your guns. It's school time. We have way too many guns ending up in school. And if you're a parent, lock up your guns. And don't think you can teach your 12-year-old about gun safety and not think they might not bring that gun to school. Some kids, yeah. Some kids no. So why not just have them locked up and also teach kids, when they grow up, that you always keep your gun locked up.